Hello and welcome everyone to yet another episode of the Still Sane Podcast. I am Talkative and I am here with MisoxShiru to talk all things PoE 2, the Third Edict, Path of Exile 2's 0.3 patch, which has shaped up to be the largest one yet. We're going to talk all things League Starter, currently new patch notes, and a few other spicy topics that I think we disagree on. But before we get into that, Miso man, how are you doing? Welcome to the pod.
Thank you for having me. I'm doing really well. It's actually really amazing. Like this week I'm just so looking forward to Friday, but also came off of a really awesome podcast yesterday. I'm also on another podcast, a regular podcast, Path of Exile. We had a DM on yesterday, and that was like an absolute banger of a podcast. So again, if anybody hasn't checked it out, check it out. But it was so much fun and just really excited for this Friday. Like, oh my gosh, like every single day feels like an eternity. I swear.
You're right, man. And I will put the link to that podcast in the description below. We love friends here. We share. Yeah, 100%. Check out the Path of Exile podcast.
There was a guy named Talkative who was on that podcast some time ago as well.
That's true. And my predictions were way off, so don't go watch that one. Watch the DM one instead, okay? Kaltarak predicted the trade system being added. That was his crazy prediction. He's 100% right, and it's looking really nice. But yeah, that was a great podcast, and I feel the same way. Today at work felt so slow. I had at least 3 Category 5 disasters occur, and it still felt like the day was going by at a snail's pace. So I'm so excited for Friday. I have the day off. I have the weekend booked too. Like I'm ready to blast, man. Are you just gonna play like every single day, basically for the first week, 2 weeks? All day?
Yeah, I mean, so normally I take a day off on Sunday for my stream, but going like for the next month or two, I don't expect that to be the case. I'm just be playing every single day. Though I am a little bit bummed because, well, not really bummed, I guess. I have a buddy who is in Seattle who has just had a baby, and he's having like it's called 100 days, which is like I think Chinese people celebrate this. So when their baby turns 100 days, they have a party. So they invited me. So I'm like, I kind of have to go. So I'm taking Friday and Saturday off of streaming and playing games and everything. And it just hurts. It hurts. Luckily, it's not launch weekend, but it is still 2 days away. Originally, I was thinking about taking a third day because I also have some like other friends I wanted to like potentially hang out with. But I'm like, no, I got to do it. Path of Exile's calling. And then I actually rescheduled my flight to come back early a day so I could continue playing.
Wow. Okay. I thought you were talking about this Friday and Saturday, and my heart sank
luckily
for you.
Not. Luckily not. Okay. Oh my God.
Gonna miss the 100 days.
I would have never said that. Gotta miss 100 days. I'm sorry. Path of Exile is more important.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, I hope that your friend has a good 100-day party for their baby. It is exciting. Babies, birthdays, milestones. My daughter just turned a year old, and that was pretty fun. Oh. She didn't know what was going on, but it was good to get everybody together and celebrate it. So, okay, Miso, Friday is the start. We have basically no new real information on the bulk of builds, right? We have some leaks from China on support gems, but we don't know the lineage gems. We don't know what the passive skill tree looks like. We have the ascendancy changes, but so much is obscured. With all that being said, I gotta ask, what are you planning on League starting? Do you have any plans?
Oh, of course. And it is a ride or die type of situation because I am going to go the 2 of the biggest baits in this patch. First one, Hollow Palm. Everybody is calling that a huge bait. And it really is. We don't know how it's going to go because like if the numbers for the physical scaling on the skill gems is real bad, it's just going to be garbage. But if it's really good, then it's going to the moon, right? So there's that. And then the other bait is CHAYULA Monk. It is still, it got a huge slot in the presentation, but like I'm looking at the nodes and it's definitely way better than before. But at the same time, I'd probably call the class still like mid-tier. But I'm excited. I'm excited to see how it's going to go. I'm hoping it's going to go well. And if it doesn't, hey, ride or die. Ride or die. I'm going to take it to the end, and we'll see how it goes.
Well, I'm joining you with the fisting, but I don't think I'm going to go with a CHAYULA Monk. I'm going to try to be, hip and not go monk. I'm going to try a different class in Ascendancy, and see if Hollow Palm works. I really wanted to try to make Warrior Hollow Palm work, but it's too far to Path.
Oh,
Like a brawler.
exactly.
Like, oh, wouldn't that be so
I would have
cool?
loved to play like Titan Hollow Palm. That
Yes!
would have that was
Right.
my like in my mind, actually the first thing I thought of was doing that, but then I'm like, oh shoot, the node's so far. Like you could theoretically like you could reach it,
Yeah.
but it would take a lot of nodes, and also like you wouldn't be able to play it until like probably level 50,
Right.
60, unless you're like bum rushing it and taking nothing other than travel nodes until like level 30 or something like that.
And you'd be missing out on all the cool new clusters that we don't know about
Yeah.
yet, but have been promised to be great. I immediately went not to Titan. I went to Warbringer. I don't know what it's like a big bulky chieftain brawler type character with the jade for your defense. It just seems so thematically cool, but unless there's something interesting such as an item that grants Hollow Palm, like a unique, and that's all it does, which I wouldn't put it past GGG. I don't
Oh,
think
it's
it's going to
possible.
be
They
feasible.
have what is it called? Bringer of Rain, which gives you Giant's Blood, which
Right.
is the better Giant's Blood now, I guess.
Speaking of which, hey, we got to talk about this. So, what are your thoughts on the whole Giant's Blood debacle? I'm really curious because I thought it was pretty cut and dry with what was going on there, but I've read and I've listened to many different arguments on what Grinding Gear Games was trying to accomplish with Giant's Blood. What's your take on it?
I mean, I personally think that maybe they got a wrong read on Giant's Blood, and we discussed this on the podcast yesterday, actually, and I was swayed. So originally, and I think this might be where GG is coming from. It's like if you think about it, every single mace build uses Giant's Blood. It's non-negotiable. You have to use it. And in that sense, you might think Giant's Blood is OP because it's so strong that every single warrior, every single mace character has to use it. So that might be where grinding tier games come from. They see that and like, oh shoot, you know what? We need to nerf it. But the problem is not that Giant's Blood is OP, in my opinion. And this was what I was swayed to think. And, again, wow, changing opinions. That's crazy. That doesn't happen online.
Don't do it.
That's insane. But I was swayed, and DM convinced me that it's not that Giant's Blood is OP. It's just that not using Giant's Blood just sucks. One-handed maces suck. The only real one-handed mace that's decent or good is Mjolnir. Other
Right.
than that, there's no good builds using one-handed mace and shield. Like it just doesn't do enough damage. Like the ceiling's too low. Like it's just not good. So the problem is there's no option outside of Giant's Blood. Because if you think about it this way, in the grand scheme of things, does Giant's Blood make your character OP? I wouldn't really say so. I'd say with Giant's Blood, it's passable. Your character is functional. Without Giant's Blood, your character is not functional. So I think that that's probably where GGG came from with the nerf. And they're like, oh, I think because everybody's using it, it's obviously OP, but it's not actually the case. It's just everything else sucks, and they need to buff everything else.
Right. No other alternative. I also had your initial opinion and I was swayed, believe it or not, by a Twitter post. I
What?
pitched out there. I was like, okay,
That's
people
crazy.
are freaking out about Warrior. Can someone explain what's going on? Is it seriously Giga dead, or are people just taking what some hyper vocal folks have said and spreading it across the internet? And one person wrote an essay and explained exactly that, essentially saying there's no alternative, right? It would be more sensible if Giant's Blood was one of 5, 6 options, even 2 or 3 options. But for a lot of players, especially min-maxers, it's that or nothing. And now it's been dumpstered, kind of. And we don't know if there's anything else that's going to make one-handed maces more viable. There's probably not going to be a notable that grants that much power. Maybe altogether it's possible. Or maybe there's a crazy lineage support. We're just kind of in the dark with that right now. So I understand why people are upset. I don't agree with the freak out because we don't know everything yet. But they could be very right, essentially.
Hear me out though.
Go for it.
The instant weapon swap. You
Yeah.
have a two-hander in one weapon set.
Okay.
No, you're not using Giant's Blood, right? You have a two-hander with no shield. The other weapon set, you have a one-hander with a shield. Every time you use a two-handed attack, you just press guard, instant swap. There you go.
That's pretty strong. That's pretty strong. That is very manual, though. How many? Okay, here's another. Okay, all right. I gotta ask. how many people are going to use guard? A lot? I know that, like Crip, I think he praised how strong active block was all the way back in 0.1. What percentage of warrior or mace shield people are actually using the active block? Do you think it's a lot? Or
No,
no?
no, I
Like,
don't think so.
I can't see it. I really can't. In a game like PoE 2, right, where everything is it happens fast, right? I get using active block in a boss fight, but in pack-to-pack gameplay, I mean, are you doing that, man?
No, unless it was 0.1 magma barrier.
Hmm.
0.1 magma barrier, I built an entire build around magma barrier, inspired by our lovely Kaltorak. And basically, that's all I used. So then I had a reason to use active block, but it wasn't for defensive reasons, it was for offensive reasons.
Right, right.
Other than
So,
that, no. I actually had a really well, this wasn't an active block per se. This was a parry situation. I was doing a hardcore run with a character using a buckler, and you know the executioner, and I don't know if it was always Ogum Farms or the one afterwards.
okay.
The guy who
Open
chops
village.
off the person's head, and
Yep.
yep. So basically, what ended up happening was I walked up to that boss. He did a just like a regular axe swing, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna parry this, get the damage bonus. Boom, let's go. I think he crit me, so it caused me to get heavy stunned instantly, and
Oh,
then he dropped an anvil on me. I went from a 0% stun meter to 100% instantly. So that might be another consideration when you're thinking about active block and parry that might just get you in some real deep trouble.
will it now though? Because I don't think the axe attack is going to be one of those red attacks that are unblockable. You can block everything now with a buckler and with a
Well,
shield.
the problem was not it wasn't blockable. It's just that it did too much damage, I think, or too
Oh,
much stun to where it
okay.
instantly stunned me from 0 to 100
Oh, from
because
through
he
your
crit,
shield.
I think. Yeah.
Oh, okay. See, I didn't even use a shield or buckler. Well, I used a buckler for a little bit, but I didn't even realize that's what happens. You can get hit for so much damage, you just get instantly. Is it
Yeah.
staggered? Wow.
Heavy stunned, heavy stunned.
That
Yeah,
is
it was.
bad.
After that, I was like, and it was a hardcore character too. So I was like, after that, I was like, you know what? I'm never using this again.
I tried so hard to make the Fangs of Winter or Fangs of Frost work with the parry mechanic.
Frost, yeah.
Yeah, dude. That skill, I swear, feels so good. But the whole parry payoff thing, it's jank. Maybe I'll give it a go again, but man.
I still think parry might need to be. I don't know if they wanted to make it like a mechanic that you use regularly. I still think they might need to take a look at it and see how they can make it feel better. I'm
Right.
not, and in my mind, I'm just not sure what they can do to do it. Just because like it's just so unnatural to like stop doing stuff and like hold up a shield while you're mapping. Like against 1v1 situations, it's fine, but like when you're mapping, it just feels like it's a little bit
Right.
I don't know.
Especially for a skill like that is a clear skill, essentially. I don't recall it being a primary like stunner skill. Like it's not used to freeze. It's used to blow things up with a whole bunch of plays. My monkey brain just went, okay, well why don't maybe they could add a chance for it to activate and give you a parry charge if you passive block something? Like
Yeah, that's what I was thinking
yeah.
too, but like, yeah, I don't know. It's just like your naturally when you go walk up into a group of monsters is not I'm gonna hold up my shield against this pack. It's I'm gonna go and use my attack and blow the entire
True.
mob up.
You're right. You're right.
So it's
Unless
very
you're super scared of the pack of monsters and you want to turn around and sprint away, Miso.
oh baby.
Oh, look at that. Have you read the newest patch note where you can now let go of the sprint button and it keeps sprinting? How beautiful is that?
It's great.
It's
I
good.
mean, I don't know why they didn't think about that in the first place, but hey,
Pretty
it's
funny.
here and it's coming before the patch.
To be fair, I didn't think about it either, but you're totally right. Somebody must have encountered this during testing. What do you think about the sprint? Do you think it's going to be a W change overall, or do you think that a lot of people might become frustrated with it due to skill issues?
I think it's both, to be honest. I think that it is a W change in the fact that it does solve some of the problems that exist in the game right now with like, people feeling like their traversal is too slow around the map because the maps are too big. Maps or layouts might be a little bit confusing for some people. Like I think it's going to help solve that problem quite like pretty dang well. But at the same time, it does feel kind of like a to me, and some people are gonna, or a lot of people are gonna disagree with me on this one. It still feels like a little bit of a band-aid fix to me because I think like rather than adding a sprint, maybe just again make maps a little bit more optimized or a little bit better to run through or like a little bit smaller. Like something like that feels like a better solution to me as opposed to adding a sprint, which kind of feels like, hey, we couldn't figure out how to make maps feel better. So here you guys go. Here's like a little thing to make you guys feel better about traversing or retraversing a terrain, or maybe there's a rare stuck in a place in a map where there's not a checkpoint there and you got to go get that, like, that's kind of what it feels like to me. But again, I do think it is a good change because it does solve problems, right? there's
Right.
there's a difference between a solution versus like, is it a good like, it solves a problem, but is it like a good solve? I think it's a decent solve, but there's probably better solutions out there, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But on the second part of that about frustrations, oh, you best believe that all the clip channels are probably going to have like a huge list of people getting knocked down while running and then just dying instantly. I can already see that happening on like all the hardcore clips, top tip clips on on Twitch. People are going to lose their minds when that happens. I can see it already.
It's gonna be beautiful. I'm gonna watch those.
It's gonna be fun.
The thing I'm really hoping that sprint, obviously, it's not supposed to be used, I think, a ton in combat, right? They've been very explicit about
Oh,
this.
definitely not.
But I think a lot of people are going to use it in combat. And the thing is, are they going to learn this isn't necessarily a combat thing? I shouldn't use it again in combat. Or are they going to be like, oh, well, maybe I could just like press sprint and maybe I could gain a little bit of ground. It's going to be really interesting to watch how people play with it. And I think GGG is going to be watching closely, and we might see pretty drastic changes quickly in regards to sprint if people don't seem to learn and kind of just bash their heads up against the wall using sprint and packs of monsters and throughout the campaign. Going back to the band-aid fix concern, I kind of like the addition of sprint, but I hate the addition of checkpoints. Okay, so what I think they should do is campaign maps. They have the grandiose idea of them. They're supposed to be super dense. Lots of Act 3 and Act 2 areas are missing boss fights and everything. They're supposed to be put into there. But in the end game, God, there should not be more than one checkpoint in a map. What is going on? Like, they should. Most maps should be much smaller and just really rich with content. And there could be a few giant maps, right? But you should not have like 4 or 5 checkpoints in an endgame map. That's just my concern. So I agree with you on maybe tightening the terrains in endgame. I think that's
Yeah,
a
I
big
mean,
thing.
the checkpoints were always supposed to be a band-aid fix, right? I think that's what they said from like the get-go. When they first introduced the checkpoints, they said like, "Hey, we don't know what we can do, but for now we're going to add checkpoints."
I hope
I'm pretty sure you remember that, right?
I see that, but now it's been like 9 months. Now
It,
I'm
it it has
concerned.
been. They haven't found the solution.
I
Maybe like I'm hoping that it's not like they're getting comfortable and like, oh, people are using it. It's working out. It like I hope they don't get to that point. Like, to be honest, like it was. I think for the most part, the main reason why they added checkpoints was for campaign,
yeah,
for like not campaign, for mapping,
yeah.
for backtracking,
The rares
for
and stuff.
rares, right?
Yep.
And I still think that they can make a better solution to that. I personally, right? And this is what I've said in the past. I think that the reason why they have the rare system right now, as opposed to the old Path of Exile 1 system, is because they don't want to have every single map have a boss, right? So they want to make it so that if you have a build that is focused around just fast map clear and everything, you can do that. But maybe it's really bad at bossing. Or you have a build that can do both, then you can do the bosses. And if they want to keep with that, I do think that there is some merit to maybe like not necessary because like I think like the overseer maps, the maps with the boss icon,
Yeah.
still should be like harder boss fights, right? But maybe it's about adding like more like mini bosses of sorts,
Mm.
like at the end of every map. That's kind of like a boss, but like not really a boss. So that way you can still have that kind of like main objective that you go for that's not just killing rares,
Right.
but it's not really necessarily a boss. It's just like kind of like a mid-tier fight type of situation. Or
I
maybe it's like having other objectives other than just rares. Maybe it's about like, because like last Epoch has other types of objectives where it's like going around and like, hitting these like towers or something like that, or like you have to defend a certain point. Like just adding more objectives and like things that you do in these maps other than just killing rares. Like maybe a one can be like every couple maps, right? But
yeah.
like having other objectives there that you're going to go accomplish, that way it does solve, or at least potentially solve, partly the frustrations of having to backtrack. That way not every single map you're going to have to go kill every single rare. You have another objective in there.
I definitely get your argument on them not wanting people who are not prioritizing on bossing to feel left out, or like they're not able to clear a map at all or fast enough. With Path of Exile 2, though, I'm wondering if, as opposed to last Epoch, I think we're going to get in the place where, and I know your opinions on this, Path of Exile 2 maps are going to become so juiced with content, right? Once they get everything in game. I'm imagining now you're going to be able to have a map with Ritual, Abyss, maybe a Breach, maybe you got Delirium layered on top, an Expedition, a boss fight. They're going to be dense with optional content. And I think that's one of the beauties of Path of Exile, that you have this main objective that I thought having a boss would just be perfect, and just make it so I think making it so bosses are just balanced so that builds in endgame should be able to kill them, unless it's like, I don't know, the mini Citadel maps that they're now adding with the mini Uber bosses or Citadel maps. Those are really tough ones, but everything else, make the bosses killable by decent builds and make that the main objective, and then allow you to just have all this side content in your map at the end of the day, instead of needing to create, like you said, a bunch of diverse ways to finish out the map and remove the need for backtracking. That, I hope they go in that direction, because personally I'm not a fan of like the hard, you have to defend this point for 30 seconds, or you have to kill these 2 spires. That's in last Epoch. And yeah, it's just bland. I prefer the optional, like, build your own map kind of experience. Maybe that's weird of me, but that's like one of the magics of Path of Exile 1. That's why I loved it for so many years. And I know you don't like the layers and layers and layers, like the what is it called? What is it called again? It has a lot of the bloat. Yes, the bloat of PoE 1 essentially, and that's one of the reasons they made PoE 2, right? Was to try to remove some of the unneeded bloat. I always thought that was magical, because you could build up the bloat yourself, right? So I don't know how they feel about it. I really don't. We'll see, I guess, at the end of the day.
I just think at the end of the day, they want to try something new that's not PoE. Like like, I think like, for example, with the map system that they changed with like the rarity stuff, right? How difficulty equals rarity and drop rate. They wanted to try something else, and they basically just like had to go back to, it's like, oh, you know what, guys, we had the perfect system for PoE. We're gonna go back to it, right? I feel like this is kind of the same situation where they really just want to try something else. Like that's not the same as PoE 1. Like PoE 1, I think the system is definitely more, it's a better mapping system for sure. Like having to, that one core objective. But I also think because they want these bosses to be a little bit more grander in scale, like in terms of like difficulty and like, with different mechanics and things like that, I still feel like, I feel like if you want to dumb down the bosses a little bit like that, it would take away from that grand boss
That's
fight.
true as well.
Having said that, most of the time when you're in the end game, the bosses aren't that grand anyways. You're kind of out there just destroying them in one shot. So it doesn't really matter too much. But I think that that's kind of ultimately what they're trying to do, to make it so like, the bosses at the end of the day are these fights that you're going to have some difficulty with and struggle with, especially depending on your build. So I don't know if the necessary like having every boss be like kind of watered down is really the right path. But at the same time, I do think that the current system of killing all the rares is not the best. And
Right.
personally, the thing that I mean, it was a nice change for like convenience sake and maybe even feel, but like showing the rares all at once on the map when you first get into the map, I actually I like it, but at the same time, I hate how it incentivizes people to just have their overlay map on all the time. Like there's so many times when I'm watching somebody's gameplay and I'm just watching the overlay map. I'm just like, how are you playing like this? I'll never have it on unless I'm, I turn on quickly and it's like, oh, I need to go over there. Okay, nice. And I turn it off. That's what I do. But
Ditto.
whenever I see somebody with it up all the time, it irks. It irks me.
I hard agree. Completely agree. I hate the overlay map. I have it on only when needed, and then it's off. Just boop, boop. That's it. I don't
Exactly.
want to play looking at the map, and that's something I applaud Diablo 4 for trying to do. They don't have an overlay map, right? That now a lot of people
Yeah,
hate
but
that.
I also don't like that
Not having
either.
it?
Like I'm fine with having an overlay map because like the problem with the Diablo 4 map is it takes you out of the combat. It
Right.
just pauses everything, right? You're just
Yep.
completely out of combat. You can't control your character, and I don't like that. Like
Right.
that's why I like the overlay map, but I also don't like, how it's being like it's kind of like a what is that? Is it like a catch 22? Is that what
Yeah,
the
right.
right phrase? Or you just
It's nice,
you
but it
either go
incentivizes I don't think the best sort of gameplay as you've described,
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, but then the fully the other way around is also not great because just takes you out of it and you're just like completely you lose the immersion.
yeah, they tried it, right? I applaud them for trying it. Diablo 5 is going to have an overlay map. I guarantee you. Now, you were talking about the grandiose boss design in Path of Exile 2, and when I first discovered your channel, I saw that you actually started with Lost Ark. Okay, so I really want to or at least you played Lost Ark. So I briefly wanted to touch on that because I've never played. The most I've seen really is Asmongold spending thousands of dollars trying to get like a perfect sword and 1v1ing crazy bosses, right? The game looks so good, man. So I'm curious, as someone who's played the game before, as Lost Ark, do you think it inspired anything in Path of Exile 2? Like, do you think the devs played it and were like, oh, dang, this is cool. I want to rip it and put it in PoE 2? Notice anything?
I hope they didn't because I mean I
That
don't think
bad?
so. I think a more I think Diablo 4 might have gotten some inspiration from something like Lost Ark with
Okay.
like the more open world and like a lot of like collectibles that you get to power up your character and your account over time. Like those things are like very much things that you have from Lost Ark. But in terms of like how similar is Lost Ark to Path of Exile 2, it really is just the perspective, like the camera
Really?
angle. That's
Okay.
all it is. So I would say that Lost Ark is the only thing that is ARPG about it is the camera angle. Everything else is MMO.
Oh,
Which
okay.
is, I mean, I'm an MMO guy. I love MMOs, right? So that's why I played it for that long. I played it since before launch and I, grew my channel off of it. So that's why I enjoyed it a lot. But I think that other than that, I would say it actually attracts a lot more of the League of Legends MOBA audience because it's like very, very mechanically heavy.
Okay.
It's very, very mechanically heavy. And if you go to like the Lost Ark Korea, there's a lot of ex pros that play the game, like
Got
Captain
it.
Jack or like, uh, one of my buddies, uh, Lust Boy plays it at a really high level. Yeah, ex League pros love Lost Ark,
Interesting.
but it's nothing like Path of Exile. So I would say that they probably didn't look at Lost Ark for inspiration.
Wow.
Having said that, though,
Okay.
originally when I first learned about Lost Ark was from ARPG creators because looking from the outside, it really does look like it's like a love child between ARPGs and MMOs, right? I first learned about it from maybe some people in the chat would know his name, but old Diablo 3 creator, Moldrin, the Moldrinator. He was the first one who kind of brought that on my radar back in like 2013 or something like that. So I understand where the, I guess, misconception that the
Right.
game is very similar to Path of Exile 2 is, but it really is at the end of the day an MMO with just like a top-down isometric view.
Interesting. See, everything looks so weighty to me, and the bosses were so fascinating. I thought that maybe GGG was like, hey, we should take inspiration with these crazy bosses and these really impactful abilities, rip them into PvP. So that's interesting to hear that it's nothing like the game. Because I legit thought they
No.
got some inspiration from it, especially with like especially the warrior abilities, but I
With the,
suppose
the the
not.
the spins, the whirlwinds, and stuff like that.
Yeah, the
Yeah, no,
crazy stuff.
I totally can see it, but Lost Ark bosses are really raids. They're all very like they're raids where you need 8 people, 4 people, 16 people to beat it, and there's a lot of like mechanics that you have to like, oh, you have to stand in this place at the right spot and like take this thing and carry it over here. Like there are raids. I would say that, I mean, and people in the chat, like I'm sure people know, but I would say that Path of Exile 2 is definitely very much more Dark Souls type of like, inspiration.
Ooh, oh,
For the
man.
bosses.
Oh,
For the bosses.
saying that. Oh my goodness. Do you think the new bosses, the Act 4 bosses, and the other ones we'll be getting in the interlude acts are going to be harder, like a step up from Acts 1 to 3? Or do you think they're going to be on the same par? I don't know if you've seen any spoilers for them or not. I have not.
I've seen like slight short clips here and there.
Yeah.
I think they're going to be on the same par because I mean there are some pretty hard bosses in the game already, with like Jamanra being one of them. I mean, I think perfect balance is probably Geonor. I love the Geonor fight. He is my favorite boss in the entire game.
He's goated.
Or like, Doriani, I'd say he can be a little bit of a pushover, but like I think if you're talking about Axe, Jamanra is like probably where I would expect to have like the peak difficulty in Path of Exile 2 for campaign bosses.
Is he your favorite boss in the game too, or someone else?
Oh, I hate that guy. He sucks. I hate going up against him. But again, Geonor, that is the sweet spot. Absolute. And I mean, I think Act 1 in general is just a masterpiece. I think Act 1 is like the best act in the game. I like the pacing, I like the monsters, I like the themes, and Geonor again, like just really great.
Yeah. Geonor, like the music, everything forms together to form just such a perfect fight there. I'm really hoping that the Act 4 boss is a bit of a spectacle too. I really do. I don't think we've seen anything of the Act 4 boss yet. I know some people were thinking we saw it in the little teaser from Nyama Kanui back in 2023 or in the art book. I don't think we've seen him at all. So everybody's probably in for a surprise when they get to Act 4. Stay blind.
I feel like spoiling the big bad that early on, they would never do that. They would never do that. I mean, it's not the big bad in the sense like he's the biggest villain, but like, in the act, the big bad in the act. I don't think they would spoil that.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm most excited for. Just playing Act 4 and seeing how it all plays out for the first time. I think that's the most magical experience. I remember playing on that first day, going through Act 1 and just reaching Geonor, I think at like hour 11. Yeah, guys. Hey, I'm a slow gamer.
I'm not laughing
okay?
at you. I'm just, wow, the game really is. There's a lot. There's a lot of replayability and gameplay time. Like, absolutely amazing.
I meant stream hour 11. I think it was hour 5 into the gameplay. So I did take a long Act 1, but getting there and just failing against him, I think 7 or 8 times, and then finally beating him on that final time. I mean, I think I was upright like this, locked in, engaged, sweating everywhere, and it was such a good
gamer
feeling.
mode.
Full gamer mode, dude. I hope that happens again with the Act 4 boss. So that's what I'm most excited for. What are you most looking forward to in 0.3? Is there anything in particular that you're just like, oh, I can't wait to do this?
I mean, of course, acts are like always exciting, right? New story content, but like I'm a build maker at the end of the day. And that is where my heart lies. Like I'm the type of person, like, and this has happened to me so many times. So, I mean, I said earlier, my schedule is, I stream from like back in the day, it was like 10 to like 5, 10 to 4. Recently, were again 11. But, I would stream until like 10 to 5. And then I would probably fall asleep around 5:30 or 6. But then I'd probably like at some point, maybe due to heat or whatever, kind of wake up at like 9 or 10 o'clock, right? I have like 3 or 4 hours of sleep. Normally I should be going back to sleep, but I'm waking up. I'm just like, oh my gosh, this thing about the build, like I can totally change these things. And then I just get up and turn on POB and just like go and make edits and stuff like that. Like that's the type of person I am. I just like build making is where my heart lies for PoE. Of course, the gameplay is a lot of fun, but build making is where I find a lot of fun in PoE. So that is what I'm most excited about. Like all the different changes to the different classes, all the support gem stuff, everything. It's just like a build maker's paradise. When I saw that stuff, I was just like, oh my gosh, there's so much, to a point where I'm just like, I don't even know where to start. I don't even know where to dive in first.
Yeah.
It's like I've been making builds for the past 2 leagues, but at the same time, I feel like I'm a baby again. I feel like I'm going back to elementary school, kindergarten, because everything is just flipped on its head.
It made me, a non-build maker, pretty excited when I saw all the revamps they were doing. And the lineage support gems too. I don't know what it is about those. Maybe it's the thematic element of them, or maybe it's just the power locked within. But I am so excited to try to make some of these work and discover what all of them do. Do you? The debate though is, how rare are these going to be? Do you think they're going to be accessible to people, or do you think these are going to be giga rare drops? Very few people are actually finding them. It's going to be the secret element to a build, but you're not going to be able to afford it. Or do you think they're actually going to be accessible by players?
There's definitely going to be accessible ones, and they have mentioned this. I think maybe it was on the leaked press thingy, or whatever. But or maybe they said it during the actual presentation. But they did mention that some of them are going to be pretty common. They're going to be relatively common, but some of them are going to be a lot rarer. For example, I think Rakiata's is going to be very rare. The one that inverts the elemental resistance. I think that might be one of the chase like support gems. That's going to be that one's going to be like super expensive.
Yeah.
But there's probably going to be ones like, maybe like the ammunition one for like crossbows, like the reloading one that it might be a little bit more common. So I can see that it's going to be a spectrum.
Your hair standing up is great, man. Don't worry about it. It's all good. I saw you fixing that.
I got a little bit too into it.
No, you're all good. Now, you said your favorite thing about playing PoE is the build craft. Did you play Path of Exile 1, or how did you get into PoE 2? Is this the first exposure to the PoE series?
So I've been a Path of Exile player since the beta. So I've been playing PoE 1 since early days. I got that Kiwi. I got the Founder's Kiwi on my so really, really early on. Because I first got into ARPGs with Diablo 3. I'm sorry, guys. I never played Diablo 2 back in the day. I didn't, my parents didn't, they didn't put it on the radar. I don't know. It was crazy. I was a Blizzard kid too, because I loved Warcraft. I played Warcraft 3, Warcraft Frozen Throne, so many hours of it. And then, World of Warcraft came out. It's actually, funny enough, I was disappointed because it wasn't an RTS. So I was a Blizzard kid, right? Well, I mean, I was more of an RTS kid, but I played a lot of Blizzard stuff, and I never heard about Diablo back in the day. I think I first heard about Diablo 2 in high school at 2010 or 2011. So I never heard about Diablo before.
Probably
so
with
my
the hype,
first foray was
D3. Probably with the hype leading up to D3. That's probably maybe why it came up. 2010.
No, not really.
Really?
No, it was just one of my friends was just randomly oh, have you I'm playing this game called Diablo. He was playing this game. I was like, what is that? He's like, oh, it's Diablo 2. You've never heard of it before? I'm like, no. He's like, this is an absolute masterpiece. How have you not heard of this? I was just in the corner playing Smash. I was in the Smash Bros. Club. And he was playing in next to me. And I was like, oh, I don't know. But Smash, play Smash. What are you doing playing Diablo? And he's like, nah, I'm playing Diablo. So yeah, I'd never heard of Diablo before until that point. And at that point, I didn't even know it was that big until Diablo 3 was coming out, and the internet blew up. And I'm like, I've got to get into this game, right? So that's when I first started playing ARPGs. And then while I was playing Diablo, Path of Exile eventually was going to start rolling out into its beta phase. And then I'm like, you know what? I hear some pretty good things about this. I like Diablo, so I'm going to try this out. And yeah, I played I'd say I was more of a Diablo guy than Path of Exile. I enjoy Path of Exile, right? I played basically every single league at least a little bit, or every single update a little bit, going up to 2015, I'd say, from the moment it was in beta. But kind of fell off a little bit after I think Lost Ark came out pretty much. So I stopped playing anything other than Lost Ark when that came out. But, played it pretty much every league up until then, just a little bit. I was never, the thing is, I call myself a veteran, but a very casual veteran, because in terms of hours, I had a ton of hours. I played before it even came onto Steam. I played it when it came onto Steam. I had 1,000 hours on Steam without and that didn't include the offline, the off Steam hours, right? So I probably had about 2,000 or so hours in Path of Exile 1 before Path of Exile 2 came out. But I think the furthest I ever got was red maps once.
Wow.
So
okay.
yeah, I was very, very casual. And I'd say I was a lot more hardcore earlier on.
Before
Back in
all
the
that.
day where, yeah, back in the day without the leagues, without everything. I think Crip was like, streaming with his like friends from what is it? His group of friends. Like
Mhm.
I don't remember what they're called, what the group was called, but yeah, it's like uh, people were running docks as endgame. Like that's
Right.
like the Path of Exile I played a ton of, right? Fell Shrine runes, docks, like that type of like era was when I played the most. And then when they started adding maps, I kind of started like falling off a little bit more, and like not really falling off, but just like, I never got that far.
Got it. Okay. And then you just saw PoE 2 coming out, decided to give it a go, and you fell in love? Did you start playing right when early access started?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, being a fan of Path of Exile, like I still,
Yeah.
while I didn't play, I still love the franchise, right? And then it just ended up being like I took some time off of it, and it just felt like there was so much that I could never get back
I
into it,
got you.
right? And that's the problem that a lot of people run into when they look at Path of Exile. Either they're a new player and they see there's so much in it, or there's somebody that played it a while back and they want to get back into it, but they just feel like they can't because it's so overwhelming.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I felt, and I was like, this is perfect opportunity for me to get back into Path of Exile because I love grinding gear games. I love Path of Exile, but I just couldn't get into Path of Exile 1. This is my opportunity to get in at the beginning before it gets too complex again. And yeah, I played it, fell in love with it. I legitimately like I still had plans to stream Lost Ark as my main game, but then I started playing Path of Exile and I'm like,
Wow.
I can't go back. I actually can't go back. Like, because Lost Ark is a game that requires you to play it every single day.
That's
It
rough.
it is a second job. It's a second job. If you take time off it, right? For example, like Path of Exile, you like a league, right? I don't want to play anything else for a month.
Mhm.
But you can't do that in Lost Ark. You can't just say, I'm gonna drop the game for a month and then come back. You fall so far behind. So at that point, I was just like, you know what? I can't do it. I'm having too much fun with Path of Exile right now. I think I'm just gonna hop ship and just make Path of Exile content.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's where I am right now.
Respect for breaking the spree with Lost Ark. I know a lot of people really get into that world. I have a few IRL friends that they play Lost Ark, and that's exactly what happens. They just have to play it every single day. It's a second job. They spend money on it, right? I don't know if you
Mhm.
did, but
Oh,
they do, and like it's a second job
trust
that costs
me,
money. You know, it's like
trust me, my bankroll is definitely like my expenses, my business expenses have gone way down
oh
while
no,
playing Lost Ark. I think
oh
like I mean, I was a creator, so like, I needed to keep up,
right.
my being at the top of the meta, right? So at the end of the day, I think my when I was doing my taxes last year, I spent like $8,000 on Steam.
Jeez, man, no way. And you just line
Yeah,
item, Lost Ark item. What is it called in the Lost Ark? Forging? I don't know what it's called. Upgrading your items.
it's like honing, yeah,
Honing.
honing.
Oh no. Oh god. Okay. Well, I'm glad you're playing PoE 2 right now, Miso. That's awesome. Now,
Yeah.
you hopped from PoE 1 right around the time the maps started coming into the game. Okay. And when I asked you what Path of Exile 2 needed right now, in a sentence, you said basically a better mapping system, a better end game. So I thought it was pretty hilarious that we had a comment on my little announcement that we were having a pod today. I don't know if he's in the chat, but shout out to Recon Willie. He says this:
Recon Willie.
talk about how everyone will experience erectile dysfunction when they reach maps again and have an emotional meltdown over it. So, Miso, do you think that people are going to finish Act 4, the interlude acts, get to Endgame, and then be like, oh my god, this again? How is it going to go? What's your prediction?
I'm I mean, I think that any like the majority of players, right? I think to be honest, like here's my, and maybe I'm wrong, but this is just my preconception that the majority of players probably play the campaign and then maybe they touch acts a little bit or maps a little bit and then they fall off. I think that's the majority of players. But there are players who have come back time and time again, got through maps, got to tier 15, started leveling up their characters, farming, and again making it stronger. And I think those people, they are going to see partly like, oh, it's this again, right? Towers are still here, the mapping system, traversing the atlas, everything is still here. But there is more to do. Like with the new Uber bosses, right? That's something brand new. The new league mechanic, the ability to shape your waystones to be more focused towards that league mechanic,
Yeah.
all that stuff, it is going to bring fresh life into the game. Like I think that while the overall gameplay loop, the core loop of Endgame hasn't really changed, there's more content. So
True.
there's going to be a lot of stuff for people to explore. It's very much you're going to explore it in the same way, but there's a lot more stuff to explore. And
Definitely.
that's how I feel about it. So I do think that people are going to find that the endgame mapping is going to feel different this time around, especially with the Uber bosses. That is kind of in a way, a new way of exploring because instead of just trying to find citadels, you also now have the Uber bosses, which I hope spawn relatively often.
Me too.
Um, so there's going to be more stuff for you to do on that aspect and that end, but overall gameplay loop, I do think that, it's going to be at some point people are going to probably go through all the content and be like, well, we're here again.
Yeah. I'm also wondering, in addition to all the new content in the end game, if people will be more okay with playing through the campaign, not only due to the campaign not having cruel, right? So you're not doubling up on content, but you also have all these new character options. So if everything is as interesting as it was pitched to us as in that presentation, I mean, I might roll up another 2 or 3 characters because we're here until December in PoE 2. There's a lot of new options, a lot of stuff to try out. So maybe more people will be keen on giving all that a shot if balance is in a better place, right? And there's stuff that you can take all the way to the end game and really have it pop off. And it's not just a few select builds at the top echelon. So,
Yeah, I mean, as for the campaign, this might be a hot take,
oh,
and I'm
go for it.
sorry to anybody who gets offended,
Here we go.
but I'm going to be honest. I think that no matter what they do with the campaign, there are still going to be people who are going to say, I want a campaign skip. There are still going to be people who say, I don't want us to go through the campaign again. Because let's be real, let's face it, that running through the campaign on every single season, every single character has been a thing in ARPGs since forever ago. You know, that I think in Path of Exile 1 at the beginning, I think you had to run through the campaign 3 or 4 times. Like
Correct.
normal, like rule, merciless, whatever, right? That's like it's a thing that people did, and you know that's kind of like what RPG players are kind of used to. Maybe it's not the best system, right? I think that the having one campaign and just like not having the redo, of course, is the axe is of course the best. But people still did it back in the day and still went through it even when it was at its worst. So I think that the people who are kind of the core ARPG players, while they're not like excited about doing the campaign over and over again, they do it because they understand, but also, I mean, it's still an enjoyable part of the game.
Yeah.
And I think that the people who want a skip, no matter what they do with the campaign, no matter how fun they make it, I think that they're gonna still want a skip because they're like, the end game is the real game. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter to them what it happens before. No matter how fun it is, they're like, in their mind, the end game is the real game, and I want to get to the real game as fast as possible.
Yeah. I get that. I think you're right about people not changing their minds on that and being pretty polarized on it. I do like what GGG is trying to go for, where they're trying to make the campaign as interesting, as fun as possible, as opposed to it kind of being a pushover. Like it pushes back. I really like that about PoE2's campaign.
Mhm.
When I went back to
Yeah.
Path of Exile 1, for example, and even, sorry, last Epoch, the campaigns are if you know what you're doing, sorry, I'll
It's
preface
so
with that.
dry.
Yeah, if you know what you're doing, it's kind of ridiculous, right? In Path of Exile 1, once you get Leap Slam, right? You are just leap slamming to the end game. All right. Everything dies. Everything is super easy. I like that my monsters fight back in Path of Exile too. Now, a few people in the chat are pointing out Last Epoch's skipping system by clearing a really hard dungeon or encounter. I don't think GG will ever do a full campaign skip. They are taking ideas from other ARPGs or long requested features and implementing them in their own way, like with the new trading system and instant buyout. Do you think there's ever a chance, or do you think it would be a good idea if they took something like that? Not a full campaign skip, but okay, if you clear this series of encounters and boss fights at this level, then you get to skip, I don't know, Act 4 or something. I don't know if I ever see that, man. Do you?
For PoE 1, maybe. For PoE 2, definitely not.
No.
I think that I mean, it's like what Rabbit had said on a previous podcast we had together. It's like basically they painted this really, really, really beautiful picture, right? That's the campaign. The bosses are so well designed, the acts are great and everything. Like you might not want to run through it multiple times, but it's beautiful, right? I think that it's very well done and the bosses are cool. Now that it's like imagine taking that picture and just taking a paintbrush with black ink on it and just like completely just like taking parts of it completely out, right? I think that I wouldn't like that, and I don't think that they're ever going to do it for it. Again, I think that they were so meaningful with the campaign and how it's designed and the bosses that I don't think they're ever going to do it.
That's
And I wouldn't want them to do it.
That's very well put by yourself and Dead Rabbit. So I might use that from now on too. That's a good way to put it. I like that. Okay, so Miso, just a few more things. I told you it'd be about an hour. We're gonna keep it to that. So one thing that I'm really curious about to hear from you is not 0.3. We basically know what's going to be in 0.3, unless there are any last minute surprises. 0.4 onward, what's something that you're really hyped about getting in this game?
Yeah, well, I mean, first of all, 0.3 is still not done. We still don't have all the information. They just had a patch today with some big changes to like a class. Like that, like it just completely for me shifted the tier of that ascendancy up like 2 or 3. Like it was insane. So we are not done with 0.3 yet.
Sure.
So we can't really say that we've gotten everything. But for 0.4, I really look forward to, of course, the Druid class, right? I was hoping Druid was going to come here, and we know that Druid is coming. So I'm really excited about that. More acts, more campaign stuff.
Yeah.
That's always really exciting. More ascendancies, all that kind of like the typical stuff, really. But I really would like if they don't address some of these, like maybe like end game problems with in mid league patches, right? Like towers and things like that, which I think they probably are going to address a good number of it. But they also said, I think they said that 0.4 is going to be the end game.
Yep,
patch,
they did.
Right.
Yep.
So that is what I'm looking forward to. That
Awesome.
is what I'm looking forward to. I am looking forward to a completely nice, brand new, refurbished end game coming in looking real beautiful. That is what I am looking forward to.
Heck yeah, dude, I'm with you. It's going to be exciting. December's going to be a good time, and they're going to want to wow the hell out of people because they'll have a new set of supporter packs, and people will be like, "Oh, it's Christmas time! It's time to shell out some money." So, but Druid coming in 0.4, that's awesome. I saw some. You think I have copium? There are people in my comments saying, "Oh my gosh, they added this trade UI." Druid is going to be dropped Thursday night. That's why the tree's not coming out, because they don't want to show the shape-shifting. No, dude, I can't even. People think I am blinded by the love for GGG, and we've got. If you think that, come on. I hope it was comedy, because there's no way that the Druid's coming, guys. It's not happening.
There's no way. It is not happening.
But you also touched on the Witch Hunter change, which I think some people in the chat don't even know about. They changed a node to now not give 20 passive skill points for your weapon swap set, but to give 100, so you can have 2 passive skill trees with the Witch Hunter on your weapon swap.
It's crazy. Like I was already talking about how I think that weapon swaps are so unexplored right now, and there's so much potential for like synergies between weapons. Like literally Witch Hunter, you're just basically going to be playing 2 weapons. Like it's a dual weapon class where you can just do whatever you want, where it's like, you it's not even like, oh, I use bows and spears. It's I could be using bows and maces, or like a spear and a mace, or whatever you want it to be, right? It's gonna be, oh my gosh, like the possibilities are limitless right now for
no
that
delay
class.
No delay,
exactly. No delay. If there was delay, I would have been like, not interesting, right? But because there is no delay, you legitimately just get to use 2 separate weapons without any drawbacks, and the synergies between those I can't even begin to process. Again, this is again another thing, like what I was saying earlier about build making, right?
Yeah.
Like I can't even begin to process how to even like dive into the potential, like making a build for Witch Hunter right now. I can't even think about like what to do. Like I don't even know where to start.
And then the future possibilities are endless too. When swords drop in the game, I think that'll be like great interplay, especially on that side of the tree. I'm getting barrage right now. Miso, we have an emergency tweet from Path of Exile.
Oh boy.
They say, Unfortunately, we can't release the passive skill tree until the website is updated to support the full Path of Exile 2 passive skill tree. What does this mean? Does this mean it's not coming out to launch?
I mean,
Oh my god.
that was always my guess, to be honest.
Really?
I wasn't expecting it to come until launch. And yeah, I mean, honestly, for me, right? I had said this in the past, and again, another hot take, but I always think that they should either give us everything or they give us nothing. I don't
Ooh.
like that they separated out, like gave us 70% of a patch, didn't give us the passive skill tree, still updating stuff, right? I don't like that. I would have rather him just drop everything on one day or just not give us anything. Give us like in the past, like last seasons, they have like little teasers here and there, right? It's like, oh,
Yeah.
here's like a couple unique items. Oh, here's like a cluster that seems really cool, right? Like that to me is like, was fine. I actually don't like that they dropped the patch and didn't give us the skill tree, because what that means is a lot of people are going to get misconceptions about the different classes, and like a lot of people are going to start trying to theory craft, and they're like, oh wait, but like this update over here is just going to turn everything on its head. Like
Right.
I'm not a huge fan of it, because like yeah, it just I think they should have given us everything or nothing. Now, having said that, though, it does build up hype. It does build up a lot of hype, right? Seeing all this stuff. So I see why they did it, but I also don't think it's good for like the community or the game. I think it's kind of
I got
toxic
it.
for it.
Yeah.
Kind of like Toxic Try.
Oh, 100%. See, and I have a pretty toxic opinion on that. So I like going in blind personally. Okay, I'm going to go in. I'm not going to plan anything. I'm going to go organically, and I'm going to mess up my tree so many times. But I do understand there is a huge swath of the community. One, like yourself, they make builds. And two, people who follow builds. And it's going to be rough that first day because you're probably going to be scrambling, trying to do a passive skill tree. Other people are going to be like, I don't know what to do, build paralysis, waiting for you to post your build and everything. And it's going to lead to a little bit of a janky start there. So unfortunately, we really need that one web developer at Grinding Your Games to get working on this passive skill tree, because even though I'm not going to use it, I totally understand that so many people out there are looking forward to it. And it's something, you said all or nothing. I think passive skill tree is one of the only things that should be revealed, because you find out about it. You can find out about it 1 second into the game. You press P, you find it. It's not like the lineage gems, which either you have to go to the data files to find out, or you mysteriously find them when they drop in endgame, right? So I like that some stuff is obscured, right, and posted on Reddit or on Twitter when people find them. It's a fun part of the first 3 days of the patch to me. And you would just prefer if it was all dropped so you could go full theory mode the week before?
Well, I actually prefer if nothing was dropped.
Oh, that'd be your ideal scenario.
I prefer going in day one with nothing, like or like the patch dropping on the day of.
I love it.
I want to be there and just explore with anybody.
Piss everybody off.
I want to be there and just be like, oh my god, this is crazy, and I get to play it now. Like that's the big thing, right? We got the patch notes, but we're like, we can't play this. I don't have anything to do with it.
See, you and I share the same mindset. A lot of people hate that. I would love if it was like that, Miso. I would love it.
Same.
Okay. My final question, something I ask everybody who's a guest on the podcast here. Miso, if you had the role of Jonathan or of Mark, game director on PoE 2, and you could design a league in PoE 2, what would its headline, feature, mechanic, or theme be? Any ideas?
Man, this is really hard because I'm not much of a game designer. So in my chair at home talking about games, talking about how to design games, even though I don't have no clue how to design, right? That's what us content creators are. We talk all this stuff. We talk about all this, big game, but when you get put in the situation, you might, I don't know, you start getting cold feet, right? But I mean, if I were to design something, I would really think it would be cool to like maybe like I was thinking about this earlier, like maybe call it like the Headhunter League, where like you get to like go and they introduce a lot of new monster affixes and like rare affixes, right? And when you kill them, like you can like hit, like I'm a big fan of like map league mechanics that don't take you anywhere outside the map. They don't break the flow of mapping. They're just like, all right, I'm gonna continue killing stuff, right? So it's kind of like what's the one in Path of Exile where you like press, like there's the little idol, you press it in the map and a bunch of like stuff spawns on the screen. You have to like kill the little statues and Legion. Something like that, where you press something and then it spawns like these rares or whatever, right? And they have like these edited affixes, new affixes. You kill them, you get these materials to go and mutate your weapon or armor or
Oh,
whatever, and
okay.
then it gives you those affixes that those monsters had
Oh.
onto your gear.
Ooh, I
So
like
like you
that.
get to that's like the headhunter league, right? Because you go and like basically it's like a headhunter where you go kill these monsters, you get their affixes onto your gear and edit how you do. And it's not simple things like, oh, you get more damage here and there. It's like, auras or like temporal bubble or like legitimately like monster affixes. And they would be new affixes that would, be able to play around with your character beyond just like the normal headhunter stuff. Unfortunately, that would also mean that I would say that in that case, you wouldn't be able to steal those affixes with headhunter,
Right.
but you would be able to infuse them onto your gear. So you kind of have
Right.
permanent headhunter buff with those monster
Yeah.
affixes.
Oh, I love that idea, man. And anything that gets more rare monster modifiers in the game, I'm a fan of. I can't believe there's not a lot in PoE2 yet. They should add more. I keep seeing the same ones over and over. So yeah, that sounds like a cool
Yeah,
idea, man.
as long as it's not more variants of Soul Eater, I'm down for it.
Yeah, I was shocked to see that it was in PoE2. It only spawns on breach monsters, right? I'm pretty sure.
I think so.
Oh,
Yeah, I think so.
why? That's pretty. It's thematic, I guess. So, all right. Well, Miso man, this was absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for coming on the pod. Did you want to shout out any of your channels? Anything else? Maybe the Path to Exile podcast again?
Yeah, I mean, find me on twitch.tv/MisoxShiru. I stream every single day. I also have a YouTube channel, YouTube at MisoxShiru. I'm maybe trying to up my X presence. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe. So I'm also MisoxShiru there. And of course, we have a weekly podcast that we run, me, Dead Rabbit, Cal Torak, called the Path to Exile Podcast. It is a Path of Exile 2 podcast. So, if you want to come and listen and hear us talk about Path of Exile 2 week after week, whether it's on season or off season, that is the place to be. We're on Spotify, Apple Music, RSS feeds, everywhere.
That was perfect. Yep. Excellent job. You didn't stumble. You got every single thing off the list. Heck yeah, dude. This was an awesome chat. Everybody go check him out and make sure you tune into his stream a little bit during launch weekend. We are 3 days away. We'll see you all in game. Thank you so much for watching.